Assalamu alaikum. We begin with Allah's name, the most gracious, the most merciful. And may Allah's blessings and peace be upon His Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. In the Quran, there are various points called ayat al-sajdah, i.e. the prostration verses. And basically at these unique points, when one would reach them, for example, during prayer, they would pause, perform a prostration, and then continue prayer as normal. Today in this episode, we will be displaying the unique and amazing mathematical findings regarding these prostrations. Surah As-Sajdah, i.e. chapter the prostration, in the Quran is chapter number 32 and contains 30 verses. The difference between them is of course 2. So will this number play a role in the code of prostration in the Quran? Let me again note that in the Quran there are several prostration points. Basically these are points where one is reciting and reaches them while in prayer. They are to perform a prostration, then get up and continue. The interesting thing is that chapter the prostration was named as such for the prostration verse or point in this chapter, yet other chapters also include prostration points. So why specifically is this chapter named the prostration when many other chapters or ayat surah also have verses or ayat that are also prostration points? To answer this, from a mathematical perspective, we find the prostration verse or point in chapter the prostration and see that it is verse number 15. Of course, multiplying 15 by 2 gives the total verses in the chapter. This is remarkable. Then we are further surprised to find that the prostration verse in chapter the prostration is not only verse number 15, but also is made up of 15 words. Again, this multiplied by 2 gives the total verses of the chapter. But as striking as this is, why specifically 15? Why is verse the prostration and chapter the prostration verse 15 and has 15 words? To answer this question, we go and find all prostration points in the entire Quran. The stunning, miraculous thing is that the total number of prostration points in the entire Quran is exactly 15. Subhanallah, this is truly amazing. This is breathtaking and beyond human capacity. Nevertheless, a man who could neither read or write, may Allah's blessings and peace be upon the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. This amazing harmony leads us to look even closer. We had noticed that this chapter contains 30 verses, and this verse is verse 15, and 15 times 2 equals 30. The significance of this is clarified when we look at the specific word in this verse of prostration, which makes it the prostration verse, and it is the word in prostration. It turns out that it is word number 186 in the chapter. We saw that the number 2 is the difference between the total verses and number of chapter, the prostration. Then we were amazed that the prostration verse number and total words are both 15, which multiplied by 2 gives the total verses in the chapter. So what if we multiplied the number of the prostration word, i.e. 186, by 2? Obviously, 2 times 186 equals 372. So what is 372? Shockingly, 372 is the total number of words in chapter the prostration. This is stunning and simply undeniable. The prostration verse is the center verse in the chapter, and multiplied by 2 gives the total verses in the chapter. Then we see that the key word which made it a prostration verse, and for which the chapter is titled as such, is the 186th word, which also, when multiplied by 2, amazingly gives us the total number of words in the chapter, which is 372. Subhanallah. We have not simply chosen any verse or word simply because they are in the center. This is the prostration verse and the prostration word in the or chapter, the prostration. This is humanly impossible. But can we go even deeper and ask, why the number 2? Why is the difference between the chapter number and total verses 2, which turned out to be an important key in chapter the prostration? It turns out that in the entire Quran there is only one chapter with more than one prostration point. It is chapter Al-Hajj, which interestingly is chapter 22. And it has exactly 2 prostrations. So 2 is the maximum number of appearances of a prostration in any chapter, and it turned out to be chapter 22. The code is absolutely stunning. How can the Prophet Muhammad والسلام, who could neither read nor write, recite such a book to his companions? How can a book which was revealed over a 23 period, and often in response to events the Prophet Muhammad والسلام, had no control over, undeniably display such mathematical perfection? How can the prostration verse in chapter the prostration be both verse 15 and have 15 words, and the total prostrations in the entire Quran also be exactly 15? How can the difference between the chapter number and total verses be 2, which multiplied by the verse, the prostration, gives the exact number of verses, and multiplied by the order of the word prostration give exactly the total words in the chapter, and also be the maximum number for the prostrations in any chapter, which happens to be 22. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, the revelation of this book is beyond doubt from the Lord of the worlds. Quran chapter 32 verse 2. Do register for free at BinImad.com, where you will soon be able to freely download my book, Quran Math Miracles, an undeniable miraculous code, and other free and paid material. And as always, help share this information and give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and until next time, Assalamu alaikum.